Hey, I asked, you answered, now I deliver. We're talking about Magdalene. Magdalene is FKA Twigs' sophomore album released in 2019. Now, a lot of people talk about the sophomore slump. Is someone's like second album not doing as well? Or, I mean, this album definitely was a slump into depression. I'm actually going to cut the jokes for a bit because this is a very, very, very dark, vulnerable, I don't even know any other words to say it, but it's an album that is a lot, and it might not seem like a lot at first, but the more you delve into it, man, does it get a little dim in here. For 39 minutes, this album goes into a lot, and my God, it's scary. So I've listened to this a couple of times, but I want to listen back because it's been a minute. Okay, let me say some things. The song with Future was the first time I ever heard FKA Twigs. So, I'm going to have some bias there. I know some people don't like that song, but I got something to say about it. Just you wait. If you haven't heard this, maybe listen along. Pull it up on the side. Listen to what I got to say after you listen to it. Compare and contrast. See what's going on. LP1 came out in 2014. Amazing. The Melissa EP came out shortly after, and that is really, really, really good too. Capper Songs is quite amazing. Magdalene might be my favorite. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I forget. I did a ranking every FKA Twigs songs, but I forget what I put at the top. I know that there's some Magdalene at the top. I know that for sure. So 9 tracks. It's pretty relatively short. Not anything too crazy, but it's enough that like by the end of it, you're like, huh. Not like you're expecting more, but it ends at a very awkward and scary position, but I think that's exactly what it's supposed to. Let's talk about the album cover first. Literally Uncanny Valley. It's a little terrifying. You have this weird snake thing that's going on here. Her eyes that aren't her eyes, but also it's her, but it's like this yellow and disgusting, like weird background. I talked about this in my ranking album covers or album cover tier list video. I love it. I gave it an S. It's fantastic. I don't know if I'd put it on my wall. It's a little too scary for that. I understand why Shaughnessy bullies it. I can't imagine how this album was to make and how kind of the reception of it made her feel. I know that for a while she probably wanted to quit music, I'm pretty sure. I'll fact check that. It's such an adventurous album and still so, in a weird way, whimsical. In Twigs' own way. It is nothing like LP1 though. The whimsicality of LP1 is not here. We're into some bullshit here, and we're just gonna get into it. Thousand Eyes is the first track. Okay, wait. I actually have something to say already, just by the first few lines. So, a lot of this album delves into the very public relationship that she had with Mr. Batman. We go into kind of a lot of the breakup here. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been engaged, but that means that you're like locked in. If I walk out this door, it starts our last goodbye. If I leave, this is actually it. You can tell she kind of doesn't want it herself. It's already scary. And if you don't pull me back, if you don't bring me back, everyone else, all your fans, all of the world is going to see this too. A public relationship is terrifying because of that. You don't want to do certain things because of how people will perceive you. That's enough stress. That's stress that you don't even need. If there's like water, a harp? Good! It sounds good! This refrain is repeated throughout the song and just added with like, it's going to be cold with all those eyes. It's going to be hard if we break up. This is just a repeated thing for 5 minutes atop like the kind of feeling that you get entering this world, entering this album. It's different. Something different is happening here. And it's a great opener for the album. It's not too scary right out the bat, but you understand that if this isn't for you, if this isn't LP1, it's not going to be getting much better after this point, like much happier, honestly. My God, she had to endure a lot being in this public spotlight. The next track is Home With You. I think it was really up at the top of my ranking Twigs one. This song is phenomenal. I gotta say this too. Okay, so another thing about what was happening during this album is shortly before, Twigs actually had a couple tumors in her uterus that had to get surgically removed. I don't know if any of you have known anyone who's ever been through something like that or anything on that level. That is so painful. And she was bedridden for so long, just like trying to deal with it. The tumors were the size of, I think, small fruits, and that's why she mentions apples, cherries, pain. Kind of like having that happen and grow in you, it messes with your psyche beyond what you would imagine. Twigs was always kind of a little creepy in what she does, but it is terrifying here. This verse and her delivery here is something that like we never ever really heard before or after this point. It's so just like broken and cynical sounding, and it just slowly gets louder and pounds into you until we get this gorgeous low point. Some people see those lines as it being when she was bedridden with these tumors, she was in the hospital and away from her partner, and she's saying that I didn't even know that you were lonely like that. If I really knew, I'd give up everything, even possibly like my own health, to be home with you, to make you feel better. You see how much love she has for this person, that she's willing to put herself through hell for this. And it's gorgeous, but at the same time so twisted. Those pianos that come in, phenomenal. And just back into it after that. We have some flutes. It's oh! God. Okay, I forgot about that last part. The last line she ends it with, I never told you that I was lonely too. If she feels this much love and she was like bedridden and sick that she really couldn't do any of this, like should that other person be there, or did they just not communicate because neither of them knew that they were both lonely? Oh my God. That song hits like a truck every time I listen to it, and I really hope if you haven't heard this, you've stopped, gone and listened right now, or are listening along, because I'm not going to do it justice listening to it like this. This is probably one of the darkest parts on the album, and you kind of get a little grace period here with Sad Day, the next track. This was one of my favorite songs when I first found Twigs, because it... Just wait. I don't want to say it's a banger, because I don't think anything on this album are like things you should be dancing to. But her voice? What? You see it build? Oh my God! Like, that's not the chorus, but that's pretty much like the chorus. And it sounds amazing. You hear that little build in the background? The song is still lyrically so depressing and so just like, almost like hopeless, like they're losing hope right there. But like there's something like almost that she's thriving off of her sadness here, and that's like what's coming in through the music. It's kind of like this battle going back and forth, and there's like some adrenaline in this sadness. At least that's what I feel. Sad Day, when I heard it for the first year, I didn't even care about what it was about. I wasn't listening to the lyrics, and just like instrumentally enough, it's so captivating, and her voice is so endearing, and oh God. But now we're to talk about Holy Terrain. A lot of people's least favorite song from Twigs because it has a Mr. Future on it. A very strange pairing between the two, but I kind of love it. I kind of love when people that don't seem like they would go together mesh together. And right here, it really does mesh, because Future takes the perspective of someone who's really kind of messed with this girl a lot. Like, he did not treat her right, and he's kind of like a little regretful. I mean, like, it's not really like sympathetic, but like he's definitely regretful for what he did, and it just works for me, and it sounds like a bit of a banger. But it definitely doesn't sound like a Twigs song at first because of this, but I like it. And this music video, a little terrifying. Just what is going on here? I don't know. It totally definitely does feel weird, and honestly, it would work a little better as a single maybe than on this album. But I still don't think it's too jarring. But I understand why people do. I understand completely. I just like it. We go into Mary Magdalene next. Now, this is such an important song, and like I've seen videos that it's like one of her most complex songs because she calls this album Magdalene. She's kind of relating herself to Mary Magdalene here a couple times, who is a biblical person who has been misrepresented as like a prostitute or a woman of sin in the past, where she was really a follower of Jesus. She was a supporter of him. She was kind of maybe could have been like a healer, or what we could have been seen as modern day as like a doctor, pretty much. A very important woman in the life of Christ. But I think what's going on here and why she calls the album Magdalene is I think she feels like that she's being misrepresented by the people, and people are telling her story, mainly men. She relates to Mary Magdalene here in a lot of ways, and this song I think it's good. It's a weird, almost like theatrical song. This chorus too is killer. I feel weird getting hyped to this, but I'm not even gonna think about that anymore. It's still good. And here we go again. This is like the chorus, but she had a chorus right before. Oh, and this part's just crazy. I'm just gonna let it ride. Mary Magdalene ends up being such a powerful song. After all kind of the darkness that we started the album with, we have a little come up here where it's just like she understands kind of who she is now, or like who she relates to and who she could be. This power is kind of like reignites her. She kind of understands who she is at this moment. Next is Fallen Alien. And here you see her like use this power in her own way. And this song gets dirty. It feels like vile at points. The chorus? Break? Nope, no chorus yet. We're gonna make you work for it. She is cynical here, and I don't know who it's for. I don't know if it's about the relationship, but what is this, the mosh pit song? Somehow that's like one of the least streamed songs on this album, but oh my god, I just have a bias towards this, bro. And let me say this. I know maybe this album might be not everyone's cup of tea. It's a little too avant-garde. 9 out of 10, this album. This next song is one of the most heartbreaking, Mirrored Heart, and it's kind of one of the more simpler ones where she's just like imagines a world without her partner. It's all for the gain, it's all for the lifeless drunk. It's so and for the lovers who found a mirrored heart, it just reminds me I'm without you. See, I can't even imagine what it's like to invest yourself so deeply in a person, to imagine you with them forever to the point that you get engaged, and then just being like, it's no longer us. It's just everything that you thought is flipped on its head, and it's kind of terrifying. And I can see how they could just be like, where do I go from here? They were your everything. And that's pretty much what the song is. She seems like she's really enjoyed the time they spent together, but man, I don't know if it's regretting it. I don't know what she was feeling too much here, and I don't know exactly if she did either. But if you have more to say about the song, I want to read it. Comment below. And she just sounds gorgeous at this point. Don't listen to that song if you've recently been through a breakup. And surprisingly, you can't imagine, but we're almost done with the album. We're on the penultimate track, Daybed, which I think is one of her most underrated songs. This song resonates so deeply with me and how depression works with me. There's a kind of this feeling that I get with isolation where I feel the best during it, but I know it's not right for me. It's just more like being around people has made you feel so much like a burden that being alone makes you feel so much more better. And this song is just about kind of the safety that comes with being able to stay in your bed all day and do nothing. I think it balances like the feeling of this isn't right, this isn't what I should be doing, but this is the best feeling that I can have right now. This sounds so beautiful too. It feels like we're in the clouds. And I don't know if like this kind of feeling or this instrumental is coming from this kind of euphoria that she gets from I don't know, the Novocaine or other drugs that she's on to keep herself running during this point. Well, all these lyrics, things like aching is my laughter, it hurts for her to laugh. She can't really laugh. She can't really find a way to be okay besides just being numb. And it still sounds like a good feeling, but you know it's fleeting. It's a crime how good that song sounds. It like makes me want to do nothing almost. And I don't know how you guys feel, but sometimes when you are in a really bad mood, you just need something to listen to that also is that artist in a really bad mood. It just makes you feel better. And this song, with the 5 million streams it has on Spotify, I feel like I'm like a million of them. A little bit of an exaggeration, but it connects with me so deeply that I've never been bedridden or sick by any reason like that, luckily, but I feel like it can just, anyone can relate to it on the basis of it just being that feeling that you can't leave, or that you get like a good feeling from not doing anything. And I don't know if you're familiar with the last song. It's kind of a meme song now, Cellophane. Cellophane is amazing. I know it was high on my ranking Twigs thing. Let me say a couple things about how it ends the album. It ends at the album at a very unconclusive point, but I think that's the point. She is not resolved at this point. Did not do it for you. They wanna see us apart. These lines too, they harken back to the start of the album where there's a lot of pressure from a public audience about this relationship, and they're kind of dictating it, and it's, you know, you can be tough enough to ignore something, but it only goes so far. I just want to feel you there, all wrapped in the cellophane line makes it seem like that almost these feelings are still there. They're just saved, and it's just like they're there for a future. Like now is not the time to use them, but man, you can see why it feels so unconclusive here at this part of the album, because she thinks this relationship is salvageable, and it's just so sad to, and so vulnerable to admit that on such a level. It's like, it's the strong thing to do is be like, I'm done, but it's so brave to be able to admit that. When it came out, a lot of people were like, why did it end like that? It's such a weird place to end. It feels almost unfinished. Yeah, the relationship feels unfinished, and it's up to you and your personal taste if like something like that is really like valuable, like if you like something that feels unfinished conceptually. But my god, it's such a vulnerable song that she feels like she doesn't have anyone if this person's gone, talking on such a public level about this kind of thing, and kind of like the imbalance of like her as a woman having to deal with these things and him not really getting the same kind of attention or criticisms on any side. This album is just a tad short. I would want another track. Even though I do like where it ends with Cellophane, I feel like another track could fit in there somewhere. The beginning is my favorite, honestly, the first couple tracks, but it ends just as strong. And I'm really excited to see what she does next. Yeah. What should I review next? I don't know.